I don't normally post videos 21 minutes long, and so you can jump ahead. I'm going to put some timestamps below. I just want to show a long play of my newest Pure Chaos Flicker Strike setup. I had a preview recently, and the preview showed that the setup does not use Original Sin Ring, which converts your L8 into Chaos. And so I just stack Chaos, and I'm going to show at the end how I do it. What I'm just showing, of course, is a random Alct Twisted. Maven Invitation Twisted to show how bosses feel. Now you notice, of course, that we are throwing totems like the old days, like when you had an Ancestor totem. We really only do this on beasts, on, certain rares, on uniques. Bossing. Mob clear, you don't need that. Yep, so we can run it just fine. It's pretty tanky. I got the build quite tanky. I do like builds that are not glass cannon. Alright, so now we're gonna run, I don't typically run 100% Delirious maps, but I'm gonna go ahead and run this Caldera 100% Delirious to show that it can do it. It slows you down. I think any build slowed down a little bit on 100% Delirious because of the tremendous amount of less damage taken by monsters. But yeah, I'm gonna run through a long play. Like I say, you can jump ahead if you want to see the actual gear. But go ahead and watch some, and I'm just gonna roll the footage, and I'll chime in here and there. As I say, we don't really throw the totems except when you get like a boss like that, some kind of rare that needs the extra little spurt. By having the totems stack our Wither, which by the way should have faster casting support on them, I don't actually have that on this setup. I just was too lazy to bother recoloring my body armor because it's super optional, but it does cause the Wither stacks to go a little bit quicker, so you can put faster casting. That's going to be in the POV. Like I say, a lot of guys will slow you down, especially when they're like me. I'm running Einhar a lot on my Atlas, and so you'll see like a lot of beast mods going on. So you'll see like stacked mods, multiple mods, which on 100% Delirious does make it feel like you're weaker than you actually are. Because of course this build can, frankly, probably do Ubers. I haven't actually tried like Uber Eater of Worlds. I think would be a wise one to try. So I might post that later. Possibly Uber Searing a check. I'm kind of out of money. I spent a lot of money on upgrading this. It's not a cheap build, of course. But often Flicker Strike dies a lot. This one, it will die occasionally, but it utilizes Arctic armor, and the Progenesis really makes a difference. It's an expensive flask, but does keep you alive quite a bit. Considering I didn't quite hit the 4,000 cap I wanted on the health, I could do that. I would just have to lose a little bit of damage somewhere. As you can see, Omniphobia went down like nothing. The real difficult bosses on this map. In fact, you're going to see Kaelum at the end. He goes down like nothing. Omniphobia, Kosis, they go down like nothing. It's really these guys, these stacked up beasts on 100% Delirious. But can it do it? Yep. Can do it if you're careful. And patient. All in all, a successful build. Now, is it stronger than my fire one? Possibly marginally. It feels a little tankier than the fire one did. Fire one had a really different setup though. Now you'll notice that beast did get me. And just spoiler as you watch this, that's the only time I die in this whole footage, and also I do get revenge on him, but as we go back to get our revenge, he has this mod that like causes him to like keep regenerating, like keep reviving, I should say. Now I personally like left click and right click when I run Flicker Strike. I don't like just move. I like to be able to, when you switch from left to, from right to left click, it'll kind of reactivate the skill. So like if you dash out of the way, like I like to do, that's my playstyle, that's why I use dash. with a second wind, then I can just, like, if I'm holding right click this whole time, you don't have to tap right click to attack. You hold right click, and then as I dodge, then I can just switch over to left click, especially if I'm aiming towards somebody. In the old days, there was Divergent Flicker Strike, which I wish we still had because it gave a little more range. And it was better, but that is gone forever. Like I said, I see certain rares and stuff, I throw the totem. I'm kind of engraved in my memory when it comes to like Ancestor Totem on that style anyway. Steel Skin is automatic. Our Ice Golem dies a lot. Another thing you can do, by the way, you can put Minion Health and Elemental Army on the Ice Golem, and you can skip what I have on my Herald of Agony. I have Pierce and I have damage on full life. It turns out the Scorpion does such little damage. It does like hardly any. It does a little bit, so I chose to just keep it that way. But you can get rid of those and make your Ice Golem tankier so you don't have to cast it as much. We also have automated Assassin's Mark. Now if you're able to and if you want to, you can see it there. It's my letter E. You can, frankly, self-cast it. Like if you're doing it like an Uber Pinnacle boss, and in fact, when I try Uber whoever, let's say Uber Eater Worlds, I think I'm going to get rid of Mark on Hit because it does cut the effectiveness a little bit of the Assassin's Mark. So you can self-cast it, but you have to remember to self-cast it, and because I'm remembering to throw totems, and I'm dodging, and I'm dashing, and I'm drinking flasks, I just keep it on all the time for stuff like this. I keep it on for map bosses, I keep it on for any kind of delirious maps, I keep it on for Guardians, I keep it on for the Twisted, the Formed, because that way it just automatically hits them. Every time I hit them, it automatically applies Assassin's Mark. But if you're facing an Uber Pinnacle boss, as they call them, recommend taking that off because you'll get more effectiveness. Go ahead and get a 2122. I'm running a 2020. Too lazy to have bought a new one. I'll come back for loot later, and I think I just keep the recording going. So you'll see that, but and you'll see another reason, because like most of these guys are going down just fine, right? Considering this is a very juiced up map. I could have put some scarabs in here and stuff, but I have so much on my Atlas, I didn't care. I've got rituals, see. I've got the Einhar going, and I got the Blight. Those are like all guaranteed, so I didn't care. I don't always use scarabs, honestly. I'm not a big farmer. I just don't farm. I craft for profit, or I do the occasional gamble. But yeah, look at this. A lot of fun, right? I love Flicker Strikes. That's why I've made so many experimental versions. Here's Kosis. I don't even properly get the Wither stacks on him. And I still got him down, see? Just like the old-fashioned way. Just wailing on him. Here's the actual map boss. Yep, see? I mean, he would be one-shotted if it was just a non-delirious map. It would just take, boop, it'd be like a tap. I always like Caldera map, I don't know why. I guess just the pathway. I would scry div cards into here if I could. If I could never find the fucking Nameless Seer. I have never found him yet this league. But again, I just don't farm a lot. I like to make my own builds and I like to craft. That's my playstyle. So I think at this point is when I'm going back. But now, we do have to get revenge on that one guy. That one beast with so many mods. I'm pretty much going to clear the map here, you'll see. A few fractured things there to check. Yeah, I'm going to run the rituals, the Blight. See, there's times you'll like kind of semi-stop attacking, and that's when I'll switch to the left click strat. I'll be holding down right click, and then I'll dash, and then I'll hold down left click right away. And you never really stop attacking. And you cannot be stunned on this build. And you cannot be frozen on this build. I never get good shit out of these. I got this. It was tier 1, so I took it. And the chaos. had the choice to turn off footage when Kaom died, but I was like, let me just show the whole thing. Just so people can see the playstyle, if it's something you enjoy. Now, my first Flicker Strike build was an Ice Flicker Strike, which is actually pretty common. And then I ran Lightning, and I developed a Lightning Flicker Strike, and that one was, I think, maybe stronger than this? I don't know, though. I wish there was a way to, like, Hall of Grandmasters your other characters. So you could, like, fight your own characters. That way you could compare their effectiveness. Wouldn't that be amazing? I don't know how they'd program that, but, like, program, like, a dummy that actually has, like, your skills and your gear, and, like, fight them in an arena. Like, so you can fight your own builds against each other. That'd be fun as hell. Then I could find out, and I could put my Lightning Strike against this one and see who prevails. And then this league I also developed a Fire Flicker Strike, which was very different. It had different gear. The others have a very similar paradigm, which I will walk through at the end. But that paradigm just works so good. It's just that strategy. Paradoxica with Forbidden Shaco. It just works so damn well. Also, you get a shield out of it that way. I like to have a shield so you can block. And also just have an easy means to stack your res. Especially now because endurance charges don't give natural LE res like they used to. So you have to put it elsewhere on your belt and your shield mostly. And your second ring. Now this asshole, remember, he's the one that killed me. So here I am trying him again. Like, look, did you see that? He healed. Yeah, there. Finally got it. I was targeting this guy for so long. He was camping the pump, the E-Core pump. He was just camping. Like old school. The Call of Duty camping. Halo camping. Like, fucker. So how does the Blight feel? Really good is the answer, you'll see. This can run Ravage Blights, of course. Can it run 100% Delirious Ravage Blights? I don't know if anyone can run that. I doubt it. I don't know. Maybe there's a build out there. Empyrean, I believe is the YouTuber's name. Is it Empyrean? I know what he looks like. I don't follow him much, but he makes builds that are like really powerful. So maybe he could pull that off. But people in my category, like Subtractum, Ghazi, Lockahol, like we can do stuff like this, but like it's a very small subset of people. Ben could do it. He can do anything. Who else could run that? 100% Delirious Ravaged. Definitely not Ziz, because he does hardcore. That would be a terrible idea. Put in the comments below who could do it. It ain't me. Is it Empoleon? Empyrean? I cannot remember the guy's name. I'm like live recording here. I don't feel like pausing recording to check. Yosis, he could probably come up with some shit to do it too. He's got some big brain builds. At this point I was just showing the full recording. I was just not sure how much further to go. Collecting my loot. There's hardly any blues. There's no greens or whites. That ain't gonna happen. There's the last one of these. It almost got me, actually. Thank goodness for the Pantheon. That held me on.
I can't do this just yet.
Oh, and there we go. 2 monsters remain. Just me and the Lightning Bat. Alright, let's walk through the gear itself. So here's fresh out the map. We use a Blood of Karui, which will heal us at the end of its effect. Movement / Ignite Immunity Flask. Progenesis for Chaos Res and mitigation of damage over time. Spreading it out. Bottled Faith with increased effect, which gives, you know, crit and increased damage taken. And then Armor Flask, which we use because of bosses, even though we have capped 90% Fizz. We have Paradoxica with Chaos, Res Penetration, double damage, and attack speed. Arctic Armor we put Bone Chill on, which supports the chilled ground when we're moving. It gives 17% lower action speed. And Arctic Armor gives us, of course, just physical and fire mitigation and freeze immunity. We have a level 1 clarity because of our Watcher's Eye. Forbidden Shaco with where we get our source of flat chaos. Level 34 added chaos damage, and then I went ahead and got faster attacks. In a perfect world, that would have been Endurance Charge on melee stun. We use a regular multi-strike because Awakened is unaffordably expensive. We have the Endurance Charge on melee stun, which, again, in a perfect world would be implicit on the Shaco. Awakened Void Manipulation. And of course, Flicker Strike itself. Ael's Uprising, which grants Envy, which gives increased flat chaos, a little bit more to our attacks. This ring is, it doesn't have to be Redeemer influenced. I was trying to hit something that I did not hit, but it needs Despair on hit. Circle of Nostalgia, we don't need the fire damage, but it does give us this increased chaos effect, flat chaos, and a frenzy charge. We want it to be corrupted for the frenzy charge. Replica Feral's Fur allows us to keep 10 frenzy and endurance charges at all time. We have automated steel skin, and then multiple totems on our spell totem support with Wither itself, and then that last socket should be faster casting support. It can stack up to 15 stacks, and it gives increased chaos damage taken, of course. That I just never bothered to blanch or reroll. Now, the belt, we put some res. We get life as much as we can, of course. This gives armor too, which is really nice. And then we have this jewel, which gives life, and then more flat chaos. We want to stack it all over the place, and crit multiplier. These gloves, which give, of course, a frenzy charge and non-val target 2 additional nearby enemies. We don't have to take the mastery that way. Level 1 vitality. We have less duration support, which is critical because these gloves are where we have our aspect of the cat. And then there's where we have Assassin's Mark. And for most content, Mark on hit. And that's our 2 curses, Despair and Assassin's Mark. Herald of Agony, like I said earlier, we're using these to buff the Herald of Agony, and then we have our Ice Golem in here. Might be better to just buff the defenses of the Ice Golem, frankly. And then here we have a Buckler, which gives Brittle when you block, which is just another source to really get your crit up, because it doesn't sheet where we have like 50% sheeted crit. This gives us more along with the Bottled Faith. And let's see here. We want accuracy, so we do stack that a little bit here and there, mostly on the passive tree. Our Chaos Res is a little low, but of course we have the Progenesis, and so that has a pretty good duration. The one I got, I rolled a 5 when I identified it, and then 90% Fizz reduction against normals. But we have an Armor Flask just because it helps us, because that's estimated Fizz reduction. It does still help us on bosses and rares. It gives us more tankiness. How do we have this? With all this evasion gear, look, evasion, armor evasion, combo armor evasion gear, well, of course it's here. Iron Reflexes converts all of our evasion to armor. Here's where we put a little bit, so we don't, have mana burn, mana mastery. So we take that. We stack as many frenzy charges as we can. We get 10. We can get 11 if we put it on the shield in a perfect world. Actually, in a perfect world, you can get 12 because you can have 2 rings. This is why we have Vitality and Clarity at only level 1, because, see, non-channeling skills have -9 to cost. Do not overlook that. I don't have that on my ring or my amulet, because I have a lot of uniques, so that's part of how I save myself from mana burn, along with life on hit, which is wonderful. Here's where we get Rage. We just take that little guy right there on the way. In fact, that might be my only source of Rage right now. I don't have it on the gloves, like I did at one point. I think my fire build had it on the gloves. And then monsters cannot block your attacks. That's very important for Rares Plus. Forbidden Flesh, Forbidden Flame. This gives us Overwhelm, which is actually also a Slayer node. Wicked Pale, Unholy Grace, and Unwaveringly Evil. This is just for the Chaos damage. Of course, Flicker Strike is not considered a Chaos skill, even if it has Chaos damage. It's just there because it's an extra, it's free real estate. Impossible Escape. We put this around Elemental Overload so that we can put an Elegant Hubris here, and this is the best one. There are a few other options you have though, but I like this one because you could get this 50% lightning res if you need it. You could. In fact, if you get a perfect shield, maybe that's worth it, but it's mostly for 3 of these, 10% increased damage per frenzy or endurance charge. And then we also got 40% crit multiplier, so that's why we do that. Now what's going on over here? We have some tattoos. We have 10 of these. 10 of these tattoo of the Tide Shifter, and that's so that we can get 100% stun immunity. See, we put some over here as well. Now, you have another way to do this. I just did it this way because we didn't need the dex. Alternatively, and it's almost just as good, you can grab this, because this gives you cannot be stunned also, and cannot evade enemy attacks. Well, you can't anyway, because I don't have any evasion rating. So you could just take this, but it gives me an extra point by using the tattoos, and I don't need the dex. I just didn't need it at all. But it's up to you. It's matter of preference. And also, this is a little bit grandfathered in from my Fire Flicker Strike build. It was the same exact character, so I just kept it. Now, of course, we grab Fatal Blade. We grab this one node here just so we have 15% chance to poison. Why not? Why not? Because we do so much chaos and a little bit of physical. Might as well. It's almost pure chaos. Now, what's going on here? Light of Meaning. 6% increased chaos damage per every node. Big or small that we take. We take a lot in this section, so I put that there. And it gave a nice chunk of increased chaos on our flat chaos. And then, of course, we grab these guys here. And these were intelligence nodes. I replaced 2 of them because I didn't need it for 10% increased chaos damage. And then this is a very nice jewel that I somehow bought for 1 divine, which was a good ass deal. Now, of course, we're taking Headsman. We're taking Impact. We're taking Masterful Form and Bane of Legends. And then we have Overwhelm from the jewels. Yep, because our Paradoxica is 6.5% critical strike, and this now gives us 8%, and a lot of other buffs. More crit multiplier when enemies are nearby. Soul of Arakali, I was too lazy to use the vessel. I don't know why, I just never have bothered. And then, of course, Soul of Shikari, so we don't die to poison and chaos. Lots of ways to mitigate chaos damage. Makes us nice and tanky.